Okay, so we are actually recording. I am just waiting for it to redirect because we're living this on YouTube as well. So if any of you want to go back and watch the replay, you will be able to. So it's just redirecting to YouTube so that we can go live on YouTube as well. It will not be live on Facebook, however, it will be live on YouTube for replays. So it's almost done. Bear with me. Thank you. Technical difficulties, they do happen, right?
Absolutely.
That's what happens when you go live, when you do things live and not pre-recorded.
Right.
Okay, so I just have to make sure that you can't keep hearing me. Well, Delana, do I close out the link for the YouTube or do I just minimize that?
Just minimize it.
Minimize it. Okay.
Yeah, it shows that you're live on YouTube. Yep. You can just
Okay,
minimize
awesome.
it.
All right. There we go. Okay, great. We're going to try that again. Good evening, everyone. I am Cherie M. Good, the Recharge Strategist, and I'm super excited about tonight's webinar, Matters of the Heart, Mind, Body, and Spirit. So as I mentioned previously, for those who just tuned in, we are acknowledging February for Heart Health Awareness Month. And the reason that heart health is so near and dear to me is because my dad, David Swan, he passed in November on Thanksgiving Day of 2009 from heart disease, from a heart attack in his sleep. And so now what that does is directly predisposes me and my siblings to heart disease. So now I have to be more cognizant and more aware of the things that I'm eating, how I'm managing my stress, how much I'm moving, what I'm actually doing to nurture myself and my well-being. And so tonight I wanted to bring in some specialists in their areas who are well-versed in health, wellness, in even knowing the struggle of trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, because it's not always easy. You know, life gets in the way. Sometimes we get super, super busy, but we have to stop and think about the statistics. The statistics show that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men die annually from heart disease. So those numbers are pretty high. If you ask me, I think that's astronomical. And what's even worse than that is that every 80 seconds, every minute and 20 seconds, somebody dies from a heart attack or heart disease. So it's definitely a serious matter. So this evening, I invited 3 panelists to join in this discussion with me. I have Delana Watkins, who she'll tell you a little bit about herself in a second. I have Christopher Good, and then I also have Daryl Wharton. And so I am super excited. Welcome you guys to the panel for tonight's discussion. Thank you so much for giving some of your time to just share with the public some ways that they can protect and nurture their health. So I'm going to start with Delana. Delana, if you could just take a moment just to tell everybody briefly a little bit about yourself. I did post everybody's bios all over social media, so I feel like everybody already knows you. But just for those who maybe did not see that, just give a little bit of info about who you are and what some of the tidbits that you're going to share tonight.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Cherie, for hosting this webinar. As you said, it is February Heart Health Month. So thank you again for sharing this information with everyone out there. So I am Delana Watkins. I'm a registered nurse by profession, and my passion is focusing on women's health and wellness. And most recently, launching a sugarless living program, which helps us to really deter and change our relationship with sugar. And I'll share a little bit more about that, the impact of sugar, diabetes as it relates to heart disease as well. So that's my platform, and that's some of the information that I will be sharing as it relates to sugar, diabetes, and your heart health.
Yes, and I know you always like to share the 3 B's. So I'll make sure that you share that with the
Oh, yeah,
listening audience this evening, the 3 Ds to make sure that you are protecting and guarding your heart. So
absolutely.
thank you so much, Delana. So next I'm going to call up ladies first. So we're going to have Daryl Wharton. If you can just give a short intro and tell folks who you are and what you plan to share this evening to the listening audience.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daryl Wharton, and what I do is I coach women ages 35 to 65 who are struggling with weight and feeling hopelessness. I help them to transform that into wellness, into joy. And today I'm going to talk about doable actions to do that no matter what size you are. So most of my women that I work with are, they need to lose at least 100 to 200 pounds. I used to weigh 621 pounds. And I'm here to say that it doesn't matter how much you weigh, you can always focus on your wellness, because if you sit around and wait until you lose the weight before you get healthy, you'll never get there. So my focus is to say, let's do it now. Let's not wait until you get smaller to do it.
And I don't think I heard you correctly. How much did you say you used to weigh?
621 pounds.
Oh my, did y'all hear that? So when we're talking about struggles with maintaining a healthy lifestyle, she's going to share with us her journey, because you can only imagine how she felt then. And then look how gorgeous she is, probably then and now.
Thank
But
you.
I'm sure she feels even more gorgeous with releasing all of that weight. But I definitely can't wait to dive in and talk to you about what you did and how your life has changed by taking your own life into your own hands and really honing in on being healthy. So we'll be getting back to you really shortly. And then last but not least, Mr. Christopher Good, if you could please introduce yourself to everyone.
How you doing? My name is Christopher Good, and I'm a personal trainer, group fitness instructor. My goal is I teach people how to condition their heart, recovery from outstanding exercises or moving or any type of vigorous exercise will take your heart rate to the highest, and I help you condition it and make sure that you are able to recover and maintain stamina throughout.
Awesome. Thank you. Were you done? I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No problem. I just my volume is very low. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm new to this technology, so
Try turning your volume up on your device that you're using, because we want
I
everybody
tried that one,
You
and
did?
I didn't get anything but what I have now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we don't want anybody to miss anything that you were saying. And I know Christopher, he's being very modest. He is dynamic at what he does. So he has clients and customer base, I mean, all ages. He has ladies that are 90 some years old taking his kickboxing classes, and they just love it. They enjoy it. You see the joy in their heart and in their life, by they're just giggling and they're taking the class. So he really motivates his clients and his audience, and he lets them know they can do anything that they want to do regardless of age. And there's always a modification that he teaches them that they can do if they have physical limitations. He teaches them a different way so they can still stay active and move. So he's being modest, but he is really excellent at what he does. So we're going to dive right on in. And I'm going to go back to Delana, since you're the nurse on the panel this evening. We're going to go back to you. And let's talk to you a little bit, because a lot of times we don't think about signs and symptoms and how they may be different from men and women when it comes to heart disease. So would you mind just sharing some of the signs and symptoms of heart disease or having a heart attack, and how they may differ from what gender you are, whether you're a man or a woman?
Absolutely. And that is a great question. I always share and say that unfortunately, we don't have the Hollywood heart attack most of the time. We think of shows, or we think of what we see and think of like this crushing pain, and then followed by someone maybe clutching their chest and then falling out, or, appearing to have a heart attack. And that's truly not how it manifests most time. So the difference usually between men and women are oftentimes women's symptoms are very subtle. And it's a matter of, as I always say, being in tune with your body and not explaining away or denying that there's something going on. So for women, a lot of the sort of subtle signs can be that they have jaw pain, and not just the, the crushing pain at the site of your heart, but jaw pain, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, which is what we call deferred pain from your heart. So those are just some of the ones that stand out, outside of the usual that you may have. Obviously you have dizziness that may be associated with it as well, because your heart is under attack. And so therefore there's less blood circulating throughout your body. So oftentimes you will feel dizzy and or faint. So if I were to take those symptoms and kind of separate them out, you can kind of explain away each of those symptoms, thinking that there's something just individually going on that could cause you to become nauseous or to have a headache or to feel faint, right? Those sound very vague. So for women, it's a matter of being in tune with their bodies and understanding that those things happening individually or collectively can lead to it being a symptom of a heart attack.
Yes, exactly. I remember my dad used to always say his chest hurt, but he wasn't someone who would quickly go to the doctors. That's his whole family. They're like, oh, my chest hurts. Okay, I'm gonna take some medicine.
Right.
I'm gonna lay down and I'll be okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. It's always take an aspirin or, something very similar to that, right? It's usually something accessible that we can take that we've associated with taking away that particular pain that we're feeling.
Exactly. And so, in the United States, we're exposed to so many medications where other third world countries and things, they may not have the access that we have to just go grab a pill and pop it. So they have to use more natural resources, or they have to take their health more seriously and go to the doctor to get checked out, where we can just pop a pill, lay down. And sometimes, sadly, that can be to our demise. And we hear so many stories where someone either just passed in their sleep or, the number is getting younger and younger. And that's why I think
and the red flags are there most often. Like I said, it's just that we're so busy, number one, and we're not really in tune. We have so many things that are really demanding our attention that oftentimes we're allowing those things to occur and we're not giving them a second thought. Instead, we're coming up with, oh, I have a headache because I was really busy today, or I'm nauseous because I ate something for lunch that didn't agree with me. So we will explain those things away rather than investigate them.
Exactly. And I know we were having a conversation before about headaches and how if you're having a headache 3 days in a row, you need to go to the doctor.
Absolutely.
Something is wrong. 3 days, you shouldn't go more than 3 days with the headache. Really, two days in a row is pushing it. But when you get to that third day, it's time to take action. It's time to go to the doctors and find out what's going on. And you can rule out a heart attack, rule out a stroke. The worst case scenario is they send you home and say you're okay, and maybe you're having migraines or something like that, and then you have to work on that area. But definitely something that we have to look at especially those differences. And with the way society is set up now, everybody says they're too busy to have a heart attack, right?
Absolutely.
We're too busy for a heart attack. I don't have time for this right now.
Yep. I don't have time for a heart attack.
I don't have time for a heart attack. So they ignore the signs. And there's this video. I know when I used to teach CPR, there was this video and they would show us that there's this mom and she's in the house and she's visibly having this heart attack.
Yep.
But
she's cleaning and doing everything else.
Yes. She's cleaning the house. She's packing the baby bags. She was more worried about 911 coming and seeing her house dirty than just resting and having this, waiting for 911 to get there to have this heart attack.
Absolutely.
So
and that's the truth.
Yeah. And that is reality. And it shows like we're so busy ripping and running. We're doing everything else that we're not really honing into what's going on with our bodies and knowing ourselves and knowing when something's wrong to the point where we need to take action and go to the doctors. So thank you, Delana. We're going to come back to you. So I'm going to head on over to Christopher because we're going to talk about some ways that we can prevent or how fitness intertwines with heart disease. So Christopher, I'm going to get you to just talk a little bit about that. What is the correlation with fitness and a healthy heart?
Well, fitness has a big part with the heart as far as being able to maintain, and everybody is built differently. You got some people who can run a little faster. Some people can run a little longer. And what you have to do is you have to condition yourself to be able to deal with the abrupt actions of things. We always have a tendency, as I heard Delana and you speaking about, we don't have time for this, we don't have time for that. So 9 times out of 10, when we wake up in the morning, our day is just a rush. It's a rush, a rush. And if you don't have, good conditioning and your heart is not in a healthy stage, you're bound to fall victim to something of that as a heart attack or, things of that nature. So I believe that, proper exercise at least once a day, if not once a day, every other day, just to have yourself prepared to be able to deal with the unexpected. And that's what I do in my classes. I teach people how to take it to a higher level. We teach anaerobic workouts, which gives you that up and down roller coaster. I know a lot of you guys get on treadmills and you see the little mountains going up and down. Well, what it's doing is it's taking your heart up to a high level, then it's bringing it down to a moderate level, then it's taking it back up to a
I think Chris.
on that fast pace, grab and go, grab and go. So, I mean, I think exercise is definitely important for everyone to make sure that you do some sort, whether it's just walking up and down the steps gradually and just building your stamina up, one day at a time.
We missed a small piece of that, Chris. You were freezing a little bit, but we missed a part of it. But for the most part, we got that. When you're on that treadmill and you're working out on the treadmill, that you're taking your heart to an accelerated level, and then you're bringing it back down. So thank you for that. But we had missed a small part of it because you're frozen.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I can go back again. Well, as if I said, if you don't have a treadmill in front of you, which I was speaking about the treadmill, you look at the roller coaster of the heart rate, which it takes you up, takes you down. And in my classes, our work is consistent of an anaerobic workout, which is up and down, which is to take you high and then bring you low, then level you out, and that builds stamina. That's why I was asking for people to, practice this maybe at your home. If it's just walking up and down the steps gradually, and then that maintains some type of stamina, because if you notice when you walk up and down the steps, your heart rate increases. So I know that, that's tough for some people, but if you do 1 or 2 steps at a time, you pick up your work.
Okay. Thank you. So we're gonna move over to Daryl Wharton. And so Daryl, I want to have you talk to us about how important a healthy weight is to your heart health, and talk to us about your journey with your weight release.
Okay. I try to teach my clients to do normal everyday things and just step it up a little bit. So I like to call them just doable actions where, okay, if you're 300 and 400 pounds, the thought of, okay, let me get up and get dressed, go to the gym, you're already kind of sabotaging yourself to say, I'm too much to do that. Okay, so it's funny, Christopher just said, walking down the steps. First, say, take the first 2 steps of your steps, step 100 times. Do that 25 times, then rest, do it another 25 times and then rest. So just doable things that you can do without having to go out and buy anything, because then when you start doing that, the weight loss comes. But even with the weight loss, I try to train my clients to not focus on numbers on a scale, but mark it, or mark your progress in regards to maybe a shirt that doesn't fit, and try that shirt on every week. Because when you weigh over, you have 200 and 300, and in my case, 400 pounds to lose, Numbers on a scale don't mean too much. So it's funny how I just realized within the last year, when you lose 2 pounds, you lose a whole dress size. So, but when you lose, 30 pounds at 600 pounds, that's nothing. That's like, no, you still gonna be wearing the same thing you've been wearing. So I say, get your waist beads. And I'm big on feeling beautiful and living in your joy while you are 400 pounds. Because when you feel better about yourself and you love yourself, you make better decisions for yourself. And so I have on my waist beads right now. And as they get loose, then I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing without looking at numbers a day, because the scale numbers go up and down whether you're bloated. So they're not a true indicator of your progress. And so, with any weight loss and with any type of plant-based, because I'm also plant-based, your heart is going to be healthier, it's going to be pumping better. I feel amazing where, I can walk up 4 flights of steps now and I'm not out of breath. And I also say that to say, I'm not a size 2, but my wellness has improved like up the roof, you know what I mean? So you can't necessarily judge a book by its cover too. I'm by no means finished my journey. And so I tell people I will always be on a journey because my focus is wellness, not to be a size 2. And so I think if we change that focus a little bit, then we won't feel so defeated because we're waiting for numbers on a scale to go down.
And what was it? What was that breaking point that made you say, "Listen, enough is enough. I have to take control of my health"?
I'm gonna tell you my breaking point. And I've been overweight since I was 2 years old. So I joined Weight Watchers at the age of 7 with my mother. And so I had done everything. I was in the 400s in high school. When you grow up heavy, you learn to adapt and it doesn't bother you as much because you're used to it. But that one day that I was just like, I can't stay here anymore. And I had to think to myself, I can't kill myself though, because then my husband would be embarrassed with people coming to the house and getting this 600 and something pound body out of this house. And with him having to buy a specially made caskets, because they don't make caskets for somebody that weighs 600 and something pounds. And so the very thing that made me feel so bad and hopeless was the very thing that also saved my life. And so I decided to have weight loss surgery. And I had the surgery. It's been 20 years since I had my surgery. I got down to about 350, and then I got comfortable and complacent because then you said, oh, if I lost 300 pounds, I'm good. And then when my youngest got to be 8 or 9, I decided I'm going to finish this race. I did not go through the surgery. I had complications. I was in the hospital. And I was also grateful to God because a lot of people have to pay for that surgery out their pocket. And I didn't have to do that. And so I decided to start my journey again. And I just started going to Zumba. That's how I started. And then I became certified to teach hot hula fitness. And I love when the skinny people come into the class and they're looking for the instructor. And I was like, it's all this right here. And I was about maybe 330 when I did that. And so that goes to prove that you can do it. You don't have to, because if you sit around and wait, oh, well, I'll lose a couple of pounds first, you're going to be waiting forever. Go ahead and start right now. I did that at 330 pounds. I became certified to teach hot hula fitness. And my body was conditioned to that. So I could outlast people that was a size 2. They couldn't even last my whole class. And so it goes to show you that if you condition your body, and you do it and you build up that stamina, you can do it. And then I started seeing the results. And then I got stagnant again because you can't out exercise a diet. And that's when I decided to go plant-based. And that has like completely changed. And my whole house went plant-based. I have 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls. My husband went plant-based. He got off his cholesterol medicine in like 2 months. We all rolling in here. It's a family. a family gearing towards, wellness. So it's important. So my focus is to make sure that I give people doable things, because I'm telling you, I know at 600 something pounds, a doctor couldn't say to me, "Oh, well, just exercise." I'm like looking at him like, "You try to exercise at 621 pounds." No, I need something that is doable, that's not identified as exercise. I rarely use that word. I use moving your body for wellness.
Right.
And so it makes it different, and it takes that negative thing off of it. So, and later I can talk about it's the mindset shift and meditation. That's why I love your title, Mind, Body, and Spirit, because that's definitely what I focus on with meditation. And I got it all. I got crystals up in here. I'm going to use whatever I need to use to get to where I want to go.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm going to reflect back to Delana. Thank you so much for your transparency and sharing your journey, because some people won't tell you, hey, I took action and my action was that I needed surgery to get me on this journey to feel good enough to want to do more things, to now be plant-based, to now want to work out. So sometimes, people can be very judgmental, but I appreciate your transparency and sharing that your entire journey with us. Delana, I'm going to come back to you, because a huge part of heart disease has a lot to do with diabetes also. Absolutely. And I know my grandfather, who's my father's father, he actually suffered a heart attack because his diabetes was out of control. So Delana, as a nurse, and you see the end results like myself, talk to us about how diabetes and controlling your sugar has a direct effect on your heart.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let me just say, Daryl, your story is amazing. So thank you for sharing. And something just kept resonating with me when you were sharing that. And that is something that I heard years ago. And that is, healthy doesn't have a size. And you just really, really drove home that point. So kudos on that and for your journey. So as far as diabetes relates to heart disease, well, first of all, let me just say that having diabetes pretty much affects every organ in our body. And so when you have diabetes, you are at risk for a whole plethora of chronic illnesses. And so your heart is ultimately and directly affected by your diabetes. And so not controlling your blood sugar, your blood glucose level, that is a direct relation to making you more at risk for diabetes, because oftentimes most of those individuals, if you're not controlling your diabetes, again, it leads to, being obese. And then obesity, of course, is another issue. So you see how it kind of compounds when you don't control your diabetes. And so the different things that you consume, which diet is a huge part of that. And going back to the sugar, when you have diabetes, sugar is one of the things that you obviously should avoid at all costs. But what do? We want the thing that we can't have, right? The thing that we aren't supposed to have, we want the most, we crave the most. And so oftentimes that's the struggle for patients with diabetes or individuals living with diabetes, is that struggle to keep their blood sugars under control. So the direct relation there with diabetes and their heart is because of the lack of control for their blood sugar. And so it puts their heart at direct risk because of their uncontrolled diabetes.
Yeah. And so I know with your Sugarless program, I've even benefited from your program, because I didn't think I was fat. Nobody tells you when you're getting fat, right? And I knew that I was directly predisposed to heart disease, because my dad had died. But we, like Daryl talked about, we get comfortable. And so you start eating, really not focusing on the fact that, hey, I need to be moving my body. I need to be moving, because I have to burn off more than I'm consuming. And I wasn't doing that. But no one ever tells you, hey, you're getting a little chunky around the waist. But one day I looked at a picture of myself and I said, oh my goodness, that's not me. And so I know that you had started your Sugarless living program. And so I started adopting some of the tips that you've given me. and I end up becoming your brand ambassador because it works so well.
You did. It works so well. And
It
again,
works
and I
so
know,
well.
right,
Yeah.
and Daryl said a lot of it is mindset. And for you, it was recognizing that there was an issue.
Yeah.
And then you basically just kind of changed your mindset around what you knew you needed to do. And so, you know, like Daryl said, she'll go into that a little bit more. But mindset is a huge part of it. And for you, you were just very laser focused, and you just kind of did that 1 degree shift in your thinking that I know that I need to implement something that will help me along my journey, because again, it's a lifestyle change.
Yes.
So once you made your mind up about that and understood the impact that sugar, you know, makes and where it is, because it's everywhere in our food, and then joining that program and really getting the information and education behind it, and then followed with your course of action.
Yes, and when we talk about, the reason I call this webinar Matters of the Heart, Mind, Body, and Spirit, because it does take 3 parts. So I always say your wholeness is like a puzzle. So think about a puzzle that you may put together on a table in your house or whatever. If one piece is missing, bent, broken, you don't get the full picture. And so that's the same thing with our lives and being whole in our own lives. If mentally you're not ready, if physically you're not doing the things you need to do, if spiritually you don't have some source to throw your burdens on and release some of that stress, you're not going to feel whole. And only you know what part of you needs the most work. But with any journey in your health and wellness journey, you have to have all 3 pieces put together. So the first part comes with mindset. So I'm going to jump over to Christopher again. Hopefully we got his technical situation better now, and we're going to go over to him and talk to him about mindset, because I know I'm not one of those people that love to work out. So I have to talk to myself and get my mind right first before I hit that gym. So Christopher, talk to us about mindset and what mindset you have to have in order to start that wellness journey or start that fitness journey to get the body right.
Well, it really starts off with you internally. We all have our different aggressions towards things. Taking it slowly and having an understanding is the best way to start your mindset. Pretty much prepare what you want to do and how you're going to start. Don't be observant to other people, and watch and watch other people at a higher impact, and then jump into it, because you'll get discouraged quickly. You want to start off gradually and slowly, and pretty much internally within yourself, so you don't have anything to compare yourself to. That way you'll just build and keep walking up that step to the next step to the next step, because people get so discouraged quickly when they go in and then they see someone at 120 level, and then they're like, well, my mindset is already discouraged, so I'm not going to give the effort that I may want to give. So just internally having your mindset and your goal is where it is when it starts, and then gradually build it.
Yeah, and maintain positivity throughout the whole journey. And I know a lot of times when people come into a gym in particular, it can be intimidating, because you see these fit people and they're going, and they're throwing the weights down and they're picking the weights up. And sometimes it can feel intimidating, but remember your purpose and putting your mind that you're not there for everybody else. They're already reaching and meeting their wellness goals. You have goals you're trying to reach. So it's so important to stay positive, to make sure that, if you are training with somebody, they're going to motivate you like you motivate your audience and your classes. You motivate them and tell them you do what you can do. You tell them, yeah, it's hard work, but if you think about it in your mind, what is your saying that you always tell your clients?
We always say, hard work, we make it easy. And we say that easy. And people enjoy that, because when I start my workouts out, I tell them there's no competition. We start together and we finish together.
That's right. Mhm.
So yeah, so having that, so again, having a great trainer, someone who is going to motivate you and keep you going, even when you may not feel the best about yourself, but you have to do that self-talk, tell yourself, listen, it's my wellness journey. Nobody is responsible for your wellness journey but you. So thank you, Chris, for sharing that. We're going to go back over to Daryl. Because Daryl, I know you wanted to talk about mindset, and I'm going to give you that opportunity to share now about mindset and what, talk about your experience again on what your mindset was like when you were starting your journey to release your weight.
For me, it was the beginning of my turning point when I turned the corner, because even though I wanted to lose the weight, and I would say, okay, well, I've lost 300 pounds so far. I never truly thought, even having the surgery 20 years ago, they don't even do my surgery anymore, that I really would never get down to a goal weight. And so I had to realize that I never believed that it was doable, because when you grow up so heavy for so long, it's all you know. And the turning point for me was I saw a picture of a lady who weighed the same in both of her pictures, but her body fat was different. And you would have never thought that this lady weighed the same in both pictures. And that's when I said to myself, okay, I think that I can do this. And it's actually what my book is about. It's just about starting to sit down. I give like structured, just write down every single thing that you want for yourself. Because in order to change your mindset, you really have to change who you are and the identity of yourself, which is what people say, oh, well, I want to be the person that I am. But the person that you are, you're not doing what you want to do. You're not at where you want to be. So you actually have, I changed who I was. I'm not that 600 and something pound lady. I'm not that 300 and something pound person. And so now I know that I can do every single thing that I decide that I'm going to do. And that starts with, if you think it and you write it and you speak it, then you can be it. And that's what I started to do. I would stand in the mirror and I would just say my little mantras that I would create. And my mantras are with strict intention. My body is healthy, fit, strong, flexible, and comfortable. That's my mantra for my body. And I say that all the time. I write it every morning. Journaling comes along with mindset, because you have to remember, when you have those negative thoughts and they just right here all day long, you have to change. You have to move that person out. And y'all know how long it takes to evict somebody from an apartment when they don't pay their rent. It takes a while. You gotta go to court. It takes a while. When you see people that out, that landlord has been through a lot. So it's not something that you can change overnight. And so with that practice and saying it all the time, and I would set reminders in my phone so my Fitbit would do a little buzz for me. And then I would sit and I would just say my mantra in the car. I would record myself saying it. So that, and my mindset started to change. Like, you can't tell me nothing now. And I laugh when you said about when people go into the gym and they see the people and stuff. I love walking through it, and I make sure everybody looking too. I got my cute little clothes on, and because it is a sign of power for me. I have gained my power back, and food no longer has power over me. Another thing I do is an intermittent fast, and again, the mindset. Like, I had to get my mindset right, because the thought of, and I fast at least every other week. I would fast for 48 hours. You can pay me a year ago to say, girl, you're not going to eat nothing for 48 hours. Like, you lying. The devil is a liar. And so that is a power thing to say, no, I decide when I'm going to eat. The food doesn't tell me when I'm going to eat. I decide, I listen to my body to know that I can wait, and I eat between 3 and 9 every day. And I had to build up to that. And so it's like and all I can say is it's a power. It's just and it makes you want to do better because I'm constantly thinking about it. So, but it took me a while to change my mindset. And then once you reach a goal, then you know what you do, because when you know better, you do better. And I would say, you know what? I don't have to stay here either. Just like I'm getting ready to get this skin cut off my arms. I used to say, oh well, maybe I won't have any more surgeries. I've been through much. I don't want the skin on my arms anymore, because you know that's the side effect of when you have surgery and you lose weight like that. And so so that mindset is very important. It's easy to change if you just stay consistent with it. And how you stay consistent with it is, like I said, setting up reminders, making sure you get up 5 minutes early to write your mantra 3 times and then say it 3 times. And I do it every night. And that's how I consistently keep my mindset where I want it. And it is a lifelong journey. You can't get to a place and say, okay, I'm done, because that stuff will creep back on you. You can have all the surgeries you want. And even though you may only be able to eat a little bit, if you're sitting around eating 3 cookies every 45 minutes, you're going to gain the weight back.
Yeah.
And I don't sugarcoat nothing for anybody. It is. I had to have a hard conversation with myself. Either you're going to do it or you're not. And it's just as simple as that. And so I had to change my mindset in order for me to do every single thing that I've done. It's the first thing that I did that helped me to turn the corner for me to be where I am now.
That's great. Awesome. Awesome. So it sounds like collectively, all of the panelists, everything that you've been saying all correlates with self-care. So when we're talking about matters of the heart, mind, body, spirit, it's all about self-care. How are you nurturing yourself? How are you loving on yourself? How are you treating yourself? And so when we talk about that mindset, are you taking those moments of stillness just to focus, regain clarity, focus, know what next health journey you're going to go on, know what your next big move is going to be? Are you watching what you're consuming? That's all a part of self-care, because I discussed the 8 recharge pillars of self-care. Self-advocacy. Are you speaking up for yourself and letting others know how you want to be treated? That also helps to reduce some of your stress. The second thing, again, nutrition. What are you eating? Delana and I constantly have that conversation about do you eat crap or do you eat crow? And I'll let you talk about that, Delana. So tell us, I'll let you cut in right now and talk about the crap and the crow when it comes to nutrition as one of the recharge pillars that I teach.
Absolutely. So again, what we eat to fuel ourselves. And so if you're giving your body what I would consider low octane or inefficient fuel, then that's what your body will produce. And that's why most of us end up with a lot of chronic illnesses, as well as obesity and issues that come along with that. So the CRAP and CROW acronym. So the CRAP stands for chemical, refined, artificial, and processed food. And how I like to kind of break that down is anything usually that you will find in a box or a bag has some type of chemical process or some artificial ingredient to it. So if it was made in a plant and not from a plant, then likely it is crap. So the CROW piece of it is your clean, raw, organic, and whole food. So try to eat as close to the CROW as possible. And again, Daryl talked about that she's plant-based, and that again is, food that is more nutrient dense, it's more nutritious for us. And that's the type of food that your body deserves and that it desires and that it craves, and not that other crap, which is again, those artificial foods that we tend to take in because it tastes good. But I bet you, and I can pretty much bet the farm on it, that if you just change, again, your mindset and giving your body what it deserves, if you just try foods that are, healthier for you. Oftentimes people who've not tried it will think, I'm not trying, I'm not eating that. Your plant-based diet, what is that? Nothing but lettuce and this and that. Again, it comes from the lack of knowledge and that you don't know what it is that you're eating. And manufacturers are spending billions of dollars hoping that you will not become educated about the food that they are so scientifically creating for you to eat, because you are worried about the taste and not about its effectiveness and how healthy it is for you.
Exactly. And then when you start eating that crap, then comes along those clogged arteries, that then
Absolutely.
again, leading us right back to our topic, your heart, it
Your heart.
directly affects your heart, clogged up. Your blood flow is occluded because now you're eating just crap things that are full of sugar, sodium, the bad cholesterol that's no good for you. So nutrition is another one. We basically covered all the 8 recharge pillars of self-care without even really listing them in order. So again, self-advocacy, nutrition. We already talked about movement, and we'll get back to Christopher in a second about how long, it's recommended that you move every day for a healthy heart. So we'll go to him next for that. Um, After you do nutrition, movement, you need your relaxation and meditation. So you can't constantly go. You have to manage stress. You have to take rest periods. You have to do brain dumps where you're just doing nothing. Take those moments of stillness. Just recognize, stay still, be in the moment, relax your mind, body, and your spirit just by doing nothing. And I know that's easier said than done because we live in a tech world where everybody, like those phones are glued to your hand, those computers, you got social media, but it's imperative to your own well-being. Again, we're trying to be whole. We're trying to be around for a long time. We're not trying to be statistics. So it's important that we have those moments of stillness. The next 2 uh, recharge pillars of self-care are forgiveness and healing. So sometimes the extra weight that comes on us is because we haven't forgiven something that somebody's done to us, or maybe we had some childhood trauma that we're still holding on to and we haven't gotten help dealing with that. And before you can heal, you have to forgive. But it's up to you how long you let what hurt you haunt you. It's up to you how long you let what hurt you haunt you. And so a lot of times that stress of holding on to things that maybe happen or traumas that happen in our life, they directly affect our stress levels now, and they shape our eating habits. I know some people, when they're stressed, they eat more. Some people don't eat at all. So you have to know your body's responses to stress and whether or not you're actually healing from traumas that may have happened. All of us have something we've had to forgive. Sometimes we have to forgive ourselves for allowing ourselves to be unhealthy for so long. And now we're taking back that power. We're forgiving ourselves and we're healing and we're headed on our journey for wholeness and wellness. And then after we do all those things, that last step to those 8 pillars of recharge of self-care is celebration. We're going to throw ourselves a party where we're patting ourselves on the back because we've done that self-care. We've done that self-work. We've actually looked at ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and we know that we feel whole, we feel complete. Our puzzle is finally all put together after much work and much success. So that's what I teach, the self-care journey. But each of these professionals and panels that we have on here bring something to the table. And that's why I thought it was so important for all of us to get together and discuss this matter of the heart. I'm going to go back over to Christopher now to talk about time frames. So, sometimes we think we have to go in the gym and be in there all day long. And that's the fear that some people have when it comes to, making sure that they stay in shape in their movement. But what's the minimum? I would say, what's the minimum time frame that a person could go to the gym or work out in general, because you don't have to have a gym, but what's the minimum time frame a person can work out and still benefit their heart?
I mean, there is no time frame really. It all depends on how active and how consistent you are. If you go in and you are a very active person, you can go in, get your heart rate up at 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. It's all about shocking the body, making the body adjust to things that it's not used to. Every day going to work, doing the same routine, it may take you longer because your body gets used to it. Muscle memory, you don't use as much energy because your body's, like I said, used to it again. And going in doing different things can accelerate your heart rate, and you'll definitely get the benefit of it at a shorter time frame.
Christopher, how often would you say that, let's say I'm doing this same workout regimen and I feel like now I've gotten stuck or my body's stagnant or my body's used to it. How often would you recommend changing up what you do?
Can you repeat that one more time?
How often would you recommend changing up your fitness regimen so that your body doesn't get stagnant or stuck or used to that same workout?
Honestly, it all depends on you. When things get easy, it's time to change it. In the workout world, in the workout world, you have to have a challenge.
Mhm.
Like I said, once again, your heart is a muscle. Once it gets used to a certain routine, you have to change it to shock it, to give it a challenge, to make it adjust.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, good point. Your heart is a muscle. That's a good point. And what you don't use, you lose. We've been hearing that all our life. What you don't use, you lose. So if you never stimulate your heart, you never push your heart to the limits where you're raising your heart rate, guess what? You're going to lose that capability to do that. And then you start to have things like death of portions of your heart. And that's where the heart attacks and come into play. And people start to feel the effects of that. So thank you, Christopher, for that. We're going to be wrapping up really soon, but I want to go to each of you and just get your last words of advice or your last words, whatever you would like to share with our listening audience as far as heart health, mind, body, spirit health. And since we have you on the screen, Christopher, we're going to go ahead and start with you. We're going to start with you, Christopher, so you can give us your final words of wisdom when it comes to matters of the heart, mind, body, and spirit. Give us your final words of wisdom. We're wrapping up.
Oh, okay. I would say be very persistent in everything you're doing as far as your health. As Delana has said, make sure that you are intaking the healthy things. Try to wean yourself off of the negative things. And just internally build yourself up. I know things can be challenging and the goals you may set may be high. If you stay consistent, you will reach them, as well as you'll be healthy in the same process.
And Christopher, tell everyone how they can reach you for further information on your services that you provide. How can everyone reach you?
My name is Christopher Good. I represent Good Fit for Life Company. I work at Brick Bodies, Padonia, Brick Bodies, Ricestown. You can reach me at GOODEFIT, the number 4, Fit for Life, as well as Christopher Good, FIT.
All right, so that's his social media. So on social media, he's Christopher Good Fit for Life and Good Fit for Life. Those are his social media pages. So you can follow him there and see some of the testimonies. You can see some of the work that he does there. I know he has some videos on there as well of his class. He has done every year of the Recharge Health Wellness Fitness Expo that I've hosted. And each year he's gonna hit everybody, requested that he come back because of the encouragement he gives and the high intensity and the energy that he gives out to the crowd. So thank you so much, Christopher, for your time this evening. I know we had a sketchy connection with you, but we appreciate you chiming in today with the panel. We're going to go on over to Daryl. We're going to go to you and let you give your final words of wisdom on matters of the heart, mind, body, and spirit.
All I can say is you have to love yourself exactly where you are right now and keep trying. Don't give up. I like to give my clients my 3 F's, and that is forgive, forget, and move forward. So when you know that you're doing something that's not, beneficial to you, please don't wait till Monday to start over. Do those 3 F's, forgive, forget, and move forward. And you will reach your goal if you stay consistent and stay disciplined and focused. Disciplined and focused.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Tell everyone who's tuned in how they can reach you to learn more about your services and what you do.
On IG, I am Wellness Coach Daryl, and that's DARYLL. On Facebook, I am Daryl Inspires LLC, and I can be reached at 443-961-4707.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you for all your words of wisdom. And then last but not least, we're going to go to Delana Watkins and let you give your final words of wisdom on the matters of the heart, mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, Cherie, for having me on tonight. I guess what I would leave for the viewers is to be proactive and determined. We must be proactive about our health. You talked about self-advocacy, and for us, taking action and speaking up for ourselves and not allowing things to just occur and happen to us is the number one thing that we can do to protect ourselves. So you open this up by saying being proactive and protective, and I'm going to end it with the same, and that is being proactive and determined. So if we're doing that, everything that each one of the panelists have said will help you to start on your healthy journey, regardless of where you are. And that is to be proactive and protective over you. No one can care about you better than you. So again, I'm Delana Watkins on social media. You can follow me as Delana Watkins, the Wellness Maven. You can also follow my social media page for the Sugarless program to find out more information on both IG and Facebook, and DelanaWatkins.com.
And Delana, we forgot to let you come back and tell the 3 Bs. So can you mention those 3 Bs very, very quickly? I don't want our audience to miss those 3 Bs because they're super important.
Sure. You love my 3 Bs, don't you?
I love your 3 Bs, girl.
So my 3 Bs, and we did kind of mention them, we just didn't specifically say what, the 3 Bs, but they are for heart health. There are 3 Bs that are very important to helping you determine your heart health risk. And the first B is understanding and knowing your blood pressure. I think everyone is very familiar with that, but not understanding the importance of the blood pressure. But the blood pressure does help you to determine your cardiac health, and it really measures the force that it takes for the blood to pump through your arteries. And so that pressure that you're listening for is measuring how hard your heart is working and the amount of force that it takes to get the blood pressure through your arteries. So that's your blood pressure. The second B is your blood glucose. And we talked about that with diabetes. So understanding what your blood glucose is, and that's simply measured by a lab test called the A1C, or you can simply just do a fasting blood glucose, which means you would check your blood sugar prior to eating. The third B is your BMI. Now, the BMI index is kind of one of those waxy weeny things, but it measures your height and your weight, and that helps to determine what's called your body mass index. And then that gives you, if it's below 25 or below, it's normal. And then above 25 kind of puts you in a class where you're either overweight or obese. And so I kind of loosely use the BMI, but again, it gives you some idea of where you are as far as the risk scale for any type of cardiac risk issues. I usually also like to use your waist circumference as well to determine your risk for cardiac. So those are the 3 Bs: blood pressure, blood glucose, and the BMI.
Thank you so much, Delana. I thought they were super important, and I didn't want to leave without really focusing on those a little bit more. Again, thank you all to all the panelists, Delana Watkins, Daryl Wharton, Christopher Good. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise on this matter. Again, I am Cherie M. Good, the Recharge Strategist and Self-Care Master. Again, we talked about the 8 recharge pillars of self-care. Again, there's self-advocacy, letting everyone know that, hey, I'm on this wellness journey, and speaking up for yourself and letting people know that, hey, now is the time for me, and I need to take moments of stillness and take care of me to get to be whole where I want to be. The next was nutrition, making sure that we're not eating crap, but we're eating that clean, raw, organic, and whole foods that are going to nurture us and leave us feeling wonderful and whole and great and healthy. Next was movement. Like Christopher mentioned, getting your body moving. There's no certain amount of time, but elevating your heart rate, making sure that you are stimulating yourself to the point that you're getting that blood flow going and you're making your heart really benefit from it. So get yourself working out. It doesn't have to be in a gym. It could be doing stairs, like you said, or walking, or like Daryl mentioned, it could be doing Zumba classes. Put those waist beads on so you can know when you're starting to gain that weight. Next was relaxation and meditation, taking those moments of stillness so that you're better able to manage your stress, so that you're able to step away from it all, gain clarity, gain focus, and recognize the next step you need to take in this wellness journey. Only you know what part of you needs mending, fixing, or some work, mind, body, or spirit. You're a three-part puzzle to make you whole. And so you have to work on the part of you that you know needs the most work first. So only you can tell yourself what needs the most work. Mentally, are you torn? Is it physically and nutritionally that you need the work, or spiritually? Are you stressing out? Do you have a higher source? Do you have a support system where you have someone that you can talk to about your wellness journey? Now, after we do the work that way, we're going to do the forgiveness and the healing, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, and healing from things that have hurt us in the past or in the future, and forgiving ourselves for allowing ourselves to get away from our health and our wellness. And last but not least, once we do all these things, we're going to throw ourselves a big old shindig for ourselves. We're going to celebrate all the success of this wellness journey that we've gone on, that we're whole mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And now we can present the best version of ourselves to the world. So thank you to everyone that tuned in this evening. If anyone has a question, you can feel free to either type it or raise your hand, and I can unmute you and let you ask a question. So does anyone have any questions at this time? I'll give you a second. Either raise your hand or you can type it in there. For anyone who is not already connected with me, you can reach me at totalharmonyenterprises.com. If you sign up for my free monthly newsletter, you will receive a free gift within 24 to 48 hours. And also on all your social media, I am Cherie M. Good. That's good with the E on the end. So CHEREM and good with the E on the end. So if no one has any questions, let me just double check and make sure no one has questions. All right, well, I'd like to thank Dee for tuning in. I'm going to shout out everyone. It's on Tammy, Brenda. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, thank you to all of our panelists. I appreciate your time. Everyone, have a great evening. Make sure that you are doing daily work.
Dee had a question in the chat.
Question, okay.
She said, how important is it to manage your blood pressure?
You want to tackle that one, Delana?
Sure. That's a great question, Dee. So as I said before, the blood pressure is a huge indicator of how well your heart is doing. So there's a couple of different reasons why you want to control your blood pressure. One of them obviously relates back to your heart. And so keeping that under control will help to keep you out of the what we call cardiac risk. And so controlling your blood pressure is one of the main factors for heart disease. The other thing is you also could have a brain attack as well. So just as well as you're worried about a heart attack, you also are worried about having a stroke, also known as a brain attack. So it is very, very important physiologically to keep your blood pressure under control. And there's various ways that you can do that. If you've been diagnosed as being hypertensive, then obviously taking the medication, finding out what the etiology or cause of your blood pressure is, and determine whether it's directly related to weight gain, and then obviously trying to get that under control. If it's dietary related, then obviously you're going to watch your sodium intake and change your diet around as well. So that great question, Dee. Yes, your blood pressure has a major impact on your heart as well as other cardiac related issues.
Yes, and also if you do have medication, it is very imperative that you take the medication and not start and stop the medication. I know, Delana, you were giving an illustration at one of the other events we spoke at, and you were talking about the hose and how it's like trying to get, if you put a bend in a hose and you're still trying to get the water through, that water is going to be sluggish trying to get through. Same thing with your bloodstream. It's almost like having a kink in it, and you're trying to get that blood flowing through it, but it's clogged. So the blood pressure medicine helps to open that up so that the blood can flow freely. If you start and stop, it's like squeezing it closed, opening it back up, squeezing it closed, opening it back up. So it's very imperative that if you're on blood pressure medication, that you maintain it and stay on it until the doctor says that it's okay for you to come off it and maybe wean you off of it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, anybody? That was a great question, Dee. Thank you so much. I'll wait another second just to make sure no one else has a question and is typing. All right, I think we got the questions covered. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Again, make sure you reach out to all of our panelists. If you have further questions, you want to go visit their websites, go look on their pages, look and see what they're doing. They're doing some amazing things in the community geared towards heart health, geared towards just being overall healthy. So thank you, and everyone have a good night. And you can watch this replay. It'll be on YouTube under Cherie M. Good. It was recorded tonight, so if you missed any parts of it, you can watch the replay on YouTube under Cherie M. Good. All right, everybody, have a great evening.